And now let us prepare our hearts and minds for a time of meditation. I invite you to find a comfortable position in your seats. Close your eyes if you wish, and take a few deep breaths. Let go of any distractions or worries that may be on your mind.
Why have you come to earth? Do you remember? Why have you taken birth? Why have you come to love, serve, and remember? To love, serve, and remember. To love. Why have you come to earth? Do you remember? Why have you taken birth? Why have you come to love, to serve and remember? To love, serve and remember. To love.
Deep, deep, deep breath in now. Deep breath in and hold it for just a moment. And when you're ready, just exhale, let it out, let it out. Breathing in and out now and settling into the breath, settling into this now moment. Let's take in one more deep, deep breath and hold it for just a moment. And then on the exhale, drop the belly and drop the shoulders. Let the jaw relax and settle into your chair. For this is your time. This is your space. This is your moment to let go, to clear your mind, to relax the body, to know that I am one with all that is. I am one with all that is. And I have come to love, to serve, and to remember. Breathing in and out now, allowing my mind to move into loving and serving and remembering and remembering. I let the body relax, breathing in and out and allowing the breath to flow through the body. Every cell of my body is filled with fresh breath. Fresh breath, the breath of God, the breath of the universe, the breath of love, the breath of joy, the breath of everything that's everywhere. the breath of loving, the breath of serving, the breath of remembering. My body, every cell of my body relaxes. Every cell of my body settles in to relaxing, to letting go. Any place where there's any stress or any tension left, I take another breath and just breathe into that place right now. Breathe into that spot and let go. Relax. Settle in. Settle into loving, to serving, to remembering. And as I settle in, my thoughts slow down. My thoughts slow down, and I remember that I am a divine being, that God and I are one, and that in the midst of this human experience, I am divine, that my divinity is there. Ah, I remember my divinity. That in the midst of this divinity, in the midst of this divinity is where I love, is where I serve. In the midst of this divinity, I truly remember that I bring with me into this birth everything that I need to move through this human experience, that God and I are one. And that at any time, at any place, anywhere during the day or night, I can stop whatever I'm doing, take a breath, connect with my divinity, and allow the answers of the universe to flow through me. The love of God flows through me now. And as that love circulates from the tip of my toes to the very crown chakra at the top of my head, I fairly tingle with the joy and the enthusiasm and the love that are mine to have. And then as I exhale, I share that joy and that love, that divinity with you, with each other. And as we share that divinity, as we share that love, we sit now in the silence. We sit now in the silence and open ourselves to giving and receiving love, to giving and receiving joy, to giving and receiving the divinity that we all are. In the silence, I sit. In the silence, I am. In the silence. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Loving, serving, remembering. We give thanks for this time of renewal, this time of rest, this time of connection, this time of silence, this time of breathing. We give thanks for the willingness to stop and refresh ourselves. We give thanks for our connection with each other and the knowing that we are one in spirit. And so for all this and so much more, we say thank you, God. Thank you, God. Amen.
I am called to be a healer for all humanity. I am called to be a dreamer, believe in what can be. I am called to be a maker, an instrument of peace. I am called to be a giver, of abundance I receive. I am called to be a prayer, living out the truth I seek. I am called to be everything. I am called to be the glory here on earth for all to see. All of the love and all the beauty that shines in you and me. I am the living, breathing God, and you are one with me. We are called to be. You are called to be a mother, to nurture family. You are called to be a brother, be strength in times of need. You are called to be a neighbor, see a friend in all you meet. You are called to be a leader, to build community. And you are called to be a prayer, living out the truth you seek. You are called to be everything. You are called to be. Called to be the glory here on earth for all to see. All of the love and all the beauty that shines in you and me. You are the living, breathing God, and you are one with me. You are called to be. We are called to be the kindness, set the brokenhearted free. We are called to be forgiveness, where pain has run too deep. We are called to be compassion, be the wind beneath each wing. We are called to make communion, only then can we succeed. We are called to be a prayer, living out the truth we seek. We are called to be everything. We are called to be the glory here on earth for all to see. All of the love and all the beauty that shines in you and me. We are the living, breathing God, and you are one with me. We are called to be. We are called to be.
the music ministry of David Trolley. Thank you, David. Thank you very much. Do y'all know what you're called to be? Do you? Have you stopped and thought about it? What are you called to be? Because what you are to be, what you come here as is the legacy that you leave. And today we're going to talk about the legacies that we leave and what does that mean to leave a legacy and what are we called to be? Those of you that are going to the workshop after the service today and meeting with Paula are going to take a look at what are you called to be? What are your values? What do you want to be remembered for? What are you already remembered for? And what do you want people to be saying about you after you leave your human experience? Let's all stop and think for a minute about what we're called to be, who we are being during this human experience, how we'll be remembered, how we've loved and how we've served and how we're remembered. But we're going to talk more about that in a minute. But I want to tell you a little bit about the Smiths. You know, the Smiths were proud of their family tradition. Their ancestors had come to America on the Mayflower, and their descendants included senators and Wall Street wizards. Well, the Smiths decided to compile a family history, a legacy for their children and grandchildren, and they hired an author, a fine author, to help them with this. And only one problem arose as they set out on compiling this history: how to handle great Uncle George. Uncle George, the criminal that was executed in the electric chair. Uncle George. How are we going to handle Uncle George in this book, in this family compilation? And the author said, I can handle that story tactfully. Just give me a minute. Well, the book appeared, and we got to the story about Uncle George, and the author had written, Great Uncle George occupied a chair of applied electronics at an important government institution, was attached to this position by the strongest of ties, and his death came as a great shock. She did a fine job. Oh, again, don't quit your day job, Carlini. And my words of wisdom just sort of fit into don't quitting your day job. The words of wisdom for today are, there's a fine line between a long drawn out sermon and a hostage situation. Thank you. All right, moving right along there. So we're talking about leaving your legacy this morning, and I don't think I'll be leaving a legacy that I was good at jokes on a Sunday morning, but I'm enjoying them. Oh, thank you, those of you who are applauding. I appreciate it. Thank you. You know, I was reading an article written by Braden Norwood, and he tells us that Merriam-Webster loosely defines legacy as something transmitted by or received from an ancestor or predecessor or from the past. But really, he says, this only scratches the surface of what a legacy truly is. Legacy doesn't always have to be something tangible. Legacy can be the ideals you teach your children, which are then passed down through future generations of your descendants. Legacy can be what people remember of you, your actions or your ideas. It can be something that you build, something that you create. It doesn't have to be positive, and most important, it doesn't have to be anything that's massively impacting. Now, I know for certain that one of the components of my legacy is that I want to be remembered as someone who was adamant in the fight for democracy. Now, I'm saying the word democracy a lot today, and you'll hear me say it frequently in the next 6 months. because I want to be known as leaving a legacy of democracy. And I'm going to ask you if you do too. And if you do, I want to say this morning that it's imperative at this time in our history that you make a commitment then to leaving a make your commitment to leaving a legacy of democracy known. To make a commitment to let people know that you're committed to democracy and you want to be known for that commitment. And I have to say that our democracy is under threat. And democracy fits my core values. And I ask you to think, does democracy fit your core values? And between now and November, I want to invite you to do everything in your power to preserve our democracy. And I want to say thank you in advance for that. So thank you. Thank you for joining me in the commitment to democracy. Bill Lindsay wrote in the Epic Times in an article, How to Create a Legacy. He says the general idea of a legacy, be it of material goods, ideas, or even inspirational behavior, is to do something that will improve the world or benefit the lives of a person or a group. The important first step is to clearly define the purpose of the legacy. This differentiates it from being merely a gift. To accomplish this, he says, one needs to decide how a legacy will be of value and who will be the beneficiary. So I'm reminded when I think of a legacy of the co-founders of the Unity movement, Charles and Myrtle Fillmore. On the 7th of December in 1982, Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, and you've heard me talk about this before, wrote a covenant and a dedication. The two of them sat down and wrote this covenant. And this covenant that they wrote says, we, Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, husband and wife, hereby dedicate ourselves, our time, our money, all we have and all we expect to have to the spirit of truth, and through it to the Society of Silent Unity. They go on in this covenant and say, it being understood and agreed that said spirit of truth shall render unto us an equivalent for this dedication in peace of mind, health of body, wisdom, understanding, love, life, and an abundant supply of all things necessary to meet every want without our making any of these the object of our existence. Well, that's quite a covenant, that's quite a dedication. And I have to say that the Fillmores definitely left a legacy of that. I mean, when you look at what the Fillmores left from that covenant by moving forward in their lives, by living that covenant, by living their legacy while they were still in this human experience, they're both gone, and we have Unity Village. Very tangible, a beautiful campus that has truth written all over it. And millions of people have visited it and continue to visit it. And Unity Village keeps giving and sharing us truth. The truth that Charles and Myrtle Fillmore said they were making a covenant, a dedication to bring, to leave a legacy of. So we see that in the Silent Unity prayer ministry. And the Society of Silent Unity was what the beginnings of the Silent Unity prayer ministry was. We see the daily word that goes out to millions of people, and that it's online and read all over the place, has been daily on TV in the past. We see the books that are in the archives like We Wisdom and Modern Thought magazine. Oh my goodness, thousands of booklets have been produced. What a legacy those booklets are. And in those booklets and in the writings and over countless years, ministers have been trained and gone out into the field and now virtually and sharing and educating on truth principles. What a legacy the Fillmores left. And we're participating in that legacy right now. Right now, this Sunday morning, we're sharing the Fillmore's legacy. What a good feeling that is. Thank you, Charles and Myrtle. We don't really always stop and think that we're making an impact through our legacy with someone. You know, Mary always puts the graphic that you see that's in the e-news about the current talk topic. She puts that in Facebook as a post. And so she put leaving your legacy, that Sunday service on Facebook. And I was shocked. And actually, I was moved when I went in and saw that a woman that I've known for, well, since 1968, had made a comment. And this is what she said. She said, if a legacy includes people who are most important to you, then you are in my legacy, since our friendship is important in the definition of who I am. I just saw Marcia Chicano grab her, put her hand on her chest. That's exactly what I did. I said, oh my goodness, I wrote back, that fills my heart. It just opened me up to realizations that I never would have thought that I had left with someone. That let me read it to you again. If a legacy includes people who are most important to you, then you are in my legacy, since our friendship is important in the definition of who I am. And, you know, Phyllis, this woman, is in my story. We made that impact on each other. If I tell my story, it would be surprising if Phyllis didn't come up. That her contribution was such a large part in my story. And it was years and years ago, but it has followed me through this human experience. You're having that impact on others right now as you move through this human experience. Have you stopped and thought about that? Have you stopped and thought about the legacy that you're leaving? There's a quote that's attributed to Confucius that says, we have two lives, and the second one begins when we realize we only have one. We have two lives, and the second one begins when we realize we only have one. It's so true, isn't it? And it's that second life where most people start to think about leaving a legacy. That second life, when we've realized that this is it, this is the one life. Whether it's leaving a legacy for your family, building an organization that outlasts you, writing the book that shapes thinking for centuries to come, legacy is a way of passing on the essence of oneself. Legacy is a way of passing on our story. In particular, it's a way of passing on our values and our beliefs. Legacy is a method of leaving something behind after death and making meaning of the end of life. And this comes from the Journal on Death and Dying, saying that, once again, legacy is a method of leaving something behind after death and making meaning of the end of life. It's a natural impulse to want to leave a mark. It's a natural impulse. And it's equally human to have no idea how to go about it. I never got a lesson on how to leave a legacy. I thank God Paula's teaching a class on it today, a workshop on it. Who knew? I know more, yes, I know more about it by researching for this talk than I certainly did beforehand. Bill High, who's the CEO and founder of Vine Legacy, says, leave a legacy or live a legacy. Bill works with families to equip them with tools to build multi-generational legacies. And he says, so I've wondered if the better phrase isn't, so he says he's wondered if the better phrase isn't live a legacy rather than leave a legacy. Live a legacy. He says that phrase better captures the idea of being intentional about the legacy we create by the way we live. He says, I think it also captures the idea of the future. Danish philosopher Søren Kierkegaard said something profound that relates to this aspect of legacy. Kierkegaard writes, life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forward. Many of you were at the celebration of life for David Fleming this past week. What a great example of a man leaving a legacy in so many aspects. And we saw that in the pictures that were up prior to the service starting, on the cover of a magazine for work that he did on telecommuting and at a camp in I believe it's Tennessee or Kentucky, that was reconstructed and rebuilt, and the legacy of the Boy Scouts. The legacy that David Fleming leaves at Unity of Davis, one of the founding members. The legacy that the Earth Care team leaves. And the last book study that the Earth Care team participated in and that some of you joined, I don't have it written down, the Good Ancestor. Yes, thank you, the Good Ancestor. And are you a good ancestor? What are you leaving for the next generation? And what's the work that we're doing on our planet and in our world? Are we saving democracy for the next generation? Are we being good ancestors? Legacy is what we put in motion for the future. Do we instill in our children and grandchildren a set of values they can live by and, in turn, build into future generations? What stories do we pass on that could be shared from one generation to the next? Do we pass on traditions, rituals, and rhythms that still carry on? A lot of us do that, don't we? A lot of us pass on those traditions and rituals, and we enjoy them so much. And when we do that, we go back to what the song was for meditation. We go back to loving and serving and remembering. Those traditions and rituals just tickle love, and we're open to serving then and sharing and remembering. He says, I love the idea of some future generation still gathering together still singing the song of the previous generations. Perhaps they don't even know where it came from, but they still believe it. What is the song that you wish that they'll sing going forward? So I invite you to look inward and ask yourself, what do those closest think about me? And what will they remember most? What have I learned that I want to pass on? What changed my life that can help others? Have I positively affected my children and grandchildren? Do I need to make amends with anyone? Will I be remembered in a positive light? Will I be remembered as living my life to the fullest extent, or as someone to whom life simply happened? Was my life respectable in a way that others could use as an example? Let's use today's talk, today's service as a stepping stone for the workshop that's coming up. Let's use it as a stepping stone and the workshop as a stepping stone as we move forward as Unity of Davis, as we become clear on the legacy that we as Unity of Davis right here and right now want to leave for future generations, for future students of truth. What is our legacy? How will we serve? How will we love? How will we be remembered? Thank you. Live your legacy. Thank you.